Okay, so now in this video and in subsequent videos, we are going to experiment with different choices, right? When I say architectures, I loosely mean different model choices that we have. So let's start with like one basic comparison, right? And we want to see that we have these encoder-only models, encoder-decoder-only models. How do we fix a few things and then compare them, right? So here we are using the denoising objective. Then the other choice we have is the causal language modeling objective and the prefix LM objective, right? And these diagrams here are trying to sort of convey the difference between them. So what is happening here, right? So one is fully visible. So remember when we are doing this attention masking, if you don't have any mask, that means every token is paying attention to all other tokens, right? So that's the default. Whether it's useful or not is a separate point, because at least when you're doing predictions, you're doing one token at a time, so it does not make sense to look at something in the future, right? So, but that is what a fully visible mask would look like. Then you have the causal mask, where every token only pays attention to the previous token, so hence you have this sort of a diagonal structure, right? But then you also have something known as the, now we are going to introduce something known as the prefix language modeling objective, where this is the prefix part, which sort of tells you what the task is, right? So this could be summarize the text, right? And then you have the input text, and then you're sort of generating some output, right? So this part, sorry, not just that. Yeah. So this could be summarize the text followed by the text. So this is something when you're generating the output, now you're starting to generate the summary. You always want to pay attention to all of this, right? Because you want to pay attention to what the instruction was, that means summarize. Then you also want to pay attention to what you want to summarize, right? So this is summarize and then what the paragraph was, and then you start generating the output, right? So this part you want to attend to always, right? So that's what we are calling the prefix. So you want to attend to this always. So the mask should look like this, that this is never blocked, and then afterwards you return back to your causal language model, where you're only paying attention to the previous set of generated tokens and not to the tokens which are going to come afterwards, right? So it's a combination of the causal, it's just a variation of the causal language model, except that you have this prefix that you're always going to attend to, right? And what they did is in this paper, because all the tasks are going to be in this form of where you have a prefix and then you're going to generate, right? So remember when you're doing the fine tuning, that's what you're doing. You have the prefix and the text, and then you start generating, right? So that's why you need this prefix language modeling objective. So that's the other language modeling objective that they tried. And what they did is that even during pre-training, they use the prefix language modeling objective, right? So they use a part of the sentence as the prefix, and then you start generating everything after that in a causal manner. So that's what the prefix language modeling objective that they use, right? So this is just to compare the different objectives that you have. We are largely going to stick to the denoising language modeling objective, but know that we also have the prefix language modeling objective. Okay, so let's look at a closer look to this. Is what I said, right? So summarize the following. I enjoyed watching the Transformer movie. So all of this is the prefix, and this you want to pay attention to always, and then you want to sort of start decoding. When you're decoding, you want to use the causal language model. That means you don't want to pay attention to the next set of tokens, right? So even when they were pre-training on C4, you could take a random span of text and randomly split it into two portions, right? One acts as the prefix, so you'll always pay attention to that, and the rest of it is sort of the part where you're doing this next token prediction, and you're just going to use the, you'll only pay attention using the causal language modeling mask, right? So that's what they used. Okay. Now, this is one to emphasize that there was a difference in the objective functions. So we have to make sure that when we are comparing something, we are comparing across similar objective functions. Or if you want to compare different objective functions, then we keep everything else constant and compare them, right? The other difference in terms of BERT and the GPT and then the T5 is in terms of number of parameters that you have, right? So the baseline model uses an encoder-decoder architecture, but we want to compare it to the BERT model. The BERT model only has an encoder-only architecture, or if you want to compare it to the GPT model, which only has the decoder-only model, right? So how do you compare them? we need to show that these models are, whatever we are comparing, are equivalent in some way. It cannot be that some model has a larger number of parameters. So one possible criteria is to make sure that, okay, this is an encoder-decoder model, this is an encoder model, but both of them have the same number of parameters, hence they are comparable now. Or both of them do the same number of computations, right? What are the computations? You are doing these matrix vector operations throughout the network. So if you look at one, let's just look at one operation to understand what I mean by that, right? Suppose I'm taking the dot product between two vectors, right? A1, A2, A3 multiplied by B1, B2, B3, right? So what is the number of operations I'm doing here? First I'm doing a multiplication A1, B1, A2, B2, A3, B3. So there are three operations that I'm doing here. Then I'm doing one addition and then another addition. So total of 5, right? Or since these two were vectors of size 3, I am doing order n 2n operations in this case, right? So 2n would have been 6, so I'm doing order 2n operations, right? So now many such matrix vector multiplications are happening throughout the network, going from the input to the output, and each such matrix vector multiplication is a collection of these smaller multiplication and addition operations. So you just painfully count all of them and try to come up with how many computations it is doing. I did it for the simple example. You could do it for the entire network, right? You just have all of these series of matrix vector multiplications and you know how to count the number of operations, right? So instead of a vector, if this was a matrix vector multiplication, then you could again count down, right? Because it would just be, if this was a 3 cross 3 matrix, then you would have similar operations 3 times happening, right? So you can again count down the total number of operations. So that's known as flops, which is floating point operations, right? So you can say, okay, this is an encoder-decoder model, this is a decoder-only model, but both of them are doing the same number of computations to arrive at the answer, and hence they are comparable, right? So either they have the same number of parameters or they are doing the same number of computations. Unfortunately, we cannot say both. We cannot say that they have the same number of parameters and do the same number of computations, and we'll see why. First, we'll observe that if you have an encoder-decoder model with L layers in the encoder and L layers in the decoder, then if you want to compare it to a decoder-only model and encoder-only model, then it is compared to a model which has 2L layers. And that makes, of course, sense because you have L layers here, and this is 2L layers. So the number of parameters would be roughly equal, right? So if you want to compare them on equal footing, then a L layer encoder and L layer decoder model should be compared to a 2L layer decoder or a 2L layer encoder model, right? But turns out, if you have an L layer encoder decoder model, L layers encoder, L layers decoder, then the amount of computation that it does is the same as what you would do in a L layer decoder only model. Why is that the case? So you take this as an exercise and try to solve that, come at the answer. We'll have this as one of the quiz questions, right? So it's a easy computation. You could also just Google for it and you'll understand, right? So what I'm saying is that you could either look at the number of parameters and say that, oh, these two models are doing the same number of computations, or have the same number of parameters, or they're doing the same number of computations and hence they are comparable, right? So going forward, when we want to compare two things, we'll make sure that the number of parameters is same, or at least we know what is the difference, or the cost, which is the number of operations being done, is the same, right? The P is the number of parameters in the BERT-based model. So this model had 2 times that. M is the number of flops in a L plus L layer encoder-decoder model, which is the same as an L layer decoder only or L layer encoder only model, right? So that cost is the same. So the cost does not increase, but the number of parameters is 2 times. Now, this is the baseline model. Now, suppose you had reduced the number of parameters. How? They just simply shared the parameters in the encoder and decoder, right? So now you have just P parameters. So whatever parameters, the transformation matrices, etc., that you were using, that was shared, right? So that means you don't have 2P, the number of parameters, but just P parameters. In that case, you can see that the performance drops slightly. Now this, at least in terms of number of parameters and the number of computations being done, is comparable to the BERT-based model, okay? And we'll do that comparison soon. The other thing could be that you reduce the number of layers. If you reduce the number of layers, then your number of parameters would reduce to P, but your computational cost would also reduce to M by 2. Because remember that a model which had the same 12 layers encoder, 12 layers decoder actually at the same cost, and which you will go and compute as a homework as the BERT based model. But now if you're going to reduce the number of layers so that your parameters becomes half, because you have reduced the number of layers from 12 to 6, your computational cost also becomes half of the BERT based model. And of course, this leads to further some drop in performance, right? And now you're comparing this to the BERT based model, which is the 12 layer decoder only model, okay? Of course, BERT based is an encoder, but this is comparable now because it has the same number of parameters and the same number of same amount of computational cost at the BERT based model. So this was actually quite poor, right? So you can see that now these things are comparable because the P and M is constant. So you can compare the second row to the fourth row, and the fourth row is much more poor, right? Okay. So for a fixed P and M using the same objective function, so I've kept everything same, right? The P is same, M is same, the objective function is same. The encoder decoder performs better than a language model, and what they mean by a language model is a decoder only model, right? Now you can use the prefix language model. Again, you're using the same denoising encoder, you have kept the same P, same M, and in this case, the performance was slightly better, but still the encoder decoder model is better than the prefix LM model. Okay, it's almost similar but slightly better. Okay. Now, what if we change the objective? So, if we try the denoising objective versus the language modeling objective, which is the causal language modeling objective, you are comparing across the same parameters, same computational cost, and the denoising objective, as you can see here, all the numbers are roughly in 80s and so on. Here, all the numbers are a bit lower, right? So the denoising objective seems to be a better objective than the language modeling objective, which is just the next token prediction objective. So now what we're going to do going forward is look at these objective functions a bit more carefully, zoom in a bit more, and see what are the choices there and how is there a way to improve the performance further. So I'll end this video here.